Hi, Lisa Broyles with Way to Health MD, and this video is a continuation of my genetic series, and this is talking about the DAO gene, commonly called DAO. So your DAO gene makes the DAO enzyme, and what this does is regulates histamine production. Histamine is a chemical that triggers an immune response to anything that your body, that the histamine thinks is a problem. Anything that it senses as foreign, it will attack. So too much histamine causes allergic reactions like itchy skin, hives, tongue and lip swelling, even anaphylaxis for serious cases of histamine response. But milder histamine releases will just make your skin kind of itchy, make your nose run, make you feel kind of brain foggy after you eat, maybe give you a headache after you have some red wine. So histamine is something that's in a lot of foods. Some foods have more of it than others, but your DAO gene is regulating how much of this DAO enzyme is made, and the enzyme is helping your body regulate histamine breakdown. Okay, so the DAO enzyme itself is helping specifically the small intestine and the gut to break down histamine. And so if you don't have a DAO enzyme that's working properly, you're going to get too much histamine built up in your body, and then you're going to have the symptoms of the itchy skin, eczema, runny nose after eating, or runny nose all the time, headaches, kind of feeling kind of blah, especially after you eat. Sometimes people even will get hot flashes or headaches or heart racing after eating histamine-rich foods. So histamine-rich foods include anything that is fermented, alcohol certainly, especially red wine. Aged cheeses can do it. Some fruits, especially dried fruits, anything containing sulfites are going to trigger a histamine response. There's a lot of foods, smoked fish, some fruit juices, tomatoes, spinach, some vinegars. So the answer is not to just avoid all these foods, but to try to heal up your DAO gene by improving the type of bacteria in the gut. First of all, a certain flora that tends to be healthy for most of us called lactobacillus in the gut also does produce histamine. So you could try starting a probiotic like bifidobacterium that does not contain lactobacillus if you're struggling with any of these histamine symptoms. Another thing for women is to work on moderating estrogen levels. Too much estrogen will also trigger excessive histamine responses. I also have found that women that have gone through menopause seem to have less of the DAO enzyme activity in the small intestine after going through menopause. I think often this is because they might have something called SIBO, or called small intestine bacterial overgrowth, where there's inflammation producing, histamine producing bacteria in the small intestine, causing there to be too much histamine produced. And then if you get some leaky gut, which is breakdown of the barrier between the cells in the small intestine and the large intestine, then you get too much histamine into the bloodstream, too much of these foods that shouldn't be in the bloodstream getting in because of the leaky gut, and you get even more of a histamine response. And the DAO enzyme is in those cells of that intestinal barrier. So with leaky gut, you have less of the DAO enzyme as well. Even though your gene is intact, you can't make as much of the enzyme if you have leaky gut. So besides taking a probiotic that does not contain lactobacillus and getting estrogen levels improved, you can eat some foods to improve your DAO enzyme, and there's two important nutrients. One is calcium and the other is copper. So foods that contain the right form of calcium are kale and broccoli, sprouted grains and beans, bok choy, okra, almonds, and low histamine cheeses like goat or sheep. You also can find copper in beef liver, sunflower seeds, lentils, almonds, molasses, asparagus, and turnip greens. So trying to eat foods that will help improve production of the DAO enzyme and breakdown of histamine is always a good idea. Other foods include things like carrots and celery and cauliflower and cabbage, bok choy, I think I mentioned that one, leeks, lentils, mustard greens. You can see there's a lot of vegetables here that actually lower histamine levels, okay? You can take something like Zyrtec or Claritin antihistamines, which temporarily will prevent the histamine from binding to its receptors, but as soon as the drug wears off, then your symptoms come right back and you just have to take them over and over, and they don't work for the gut-related histamines such as the diarrhea, upset stomach with certain foods, and the headaches. So, and what I found, the itching, sensitive skin, that really doesn't get better with those oral antihistamines. So it's better to tackle it with improving your gut microbiome, healing leaky gut, getting your hormone levels balanced, eating a healthier histamine-rich, copper and calcium-rich foods. You can get a supplement of the DAO enzyme. It is very expensive. You can take it with meals. I have had to do that with a handful of patients, so that is kind of my last resort, but I always try to clean up that DAO gene first and see if we can get the leaky gut healed up, get the microbiome better, and that often improves people's histamine symptoms from a dirty DAO gene. Thank you.